or with
COVID.
And we're now live.
Okay.
how exciting.
Excuse me. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you all. This is the first initial meeting for the biennium with the Joint Rules Committee. I will now take nominations for chair of the Joint Rules Committee. Speaker Woods.
Good morning. I'd like to make a motion to nominate Senator Baruch as chair of the Joint Rules Committee.
Do you need a second?
But if you'd like to get one,
I would be happy to second this nomination, even though it's unnecessary.
are there any further nominations? I would entertain a motion that Assistant Secretary cast one ballot for Senator Philip Baruch as chair of the Joint Rules Committee. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Congratulations.
I don't know what to say.
Congrats.
You want to see the job description before you actually say?
The next order of business would be nominations
For vice chair. Exactly. So I would be interested in nominations for vice chair of Joint Rules. Senator Clarkson.
I would move that our speaker, Jill Krowinski, be nominated. Is that possible?
Yes.
Yes,
That is
as vice chair. Possible and maybe expected.
Okay, we have one nomination. Are there any others? Any discussion? Then I would welcome a motion to close nominations and cast a single ballot. Is that right? Yeah, for Representative Krowinski as vice chair.
So moved.
So moved. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Next. So with that agenda item out of the way, I think the only thing under discussion is crossover day. And so Secretary Bloomer has offered to give us just a bit of context about that question, and then we'll go into discussion.
Generally, crossover is dates set preferably by the Joint Rules. Sometimes it's set otherwise. And there are really historically two different dates. One of those where bills have to be out of their last substantive committee to be taken up in the other chambers. So that sometimes is confusing. If it's a House bill and the Senate has possession of it, it means that that House bill has to be out of the last substantive Senate committee to be taken up this year. Similarly, maybe making it more confusing than necessary, but similarly for the House side, if it's a Senate bill and for the House to take it up, it has to be the crossover date. And that's coming from the initiating chamber. So as an example, if the House has a Senate bill prior to crossover, they can take it up anytime they want, all the way to the end of the session. There's a second date which deals with referrals by rules, and the Senate is Rule 31, and the House, I think, is Rule 35. And so those are dates that are generally set like a week apart. Historically, they've been set at different times. It's usually key around town meeting week. Going back a ways, sometimes one of them was before town meeting week. The last, say, decade, they've been after town meeting week. Your one complication this year is town meeting week is late. Sometimes it's earlier, but it's about as late as it could be. And if you were following sort of the pattern for the last 10 years, it would be the first crossover date for supplemental committees would be the first Friday after town meeting week, and then the money committees would be the second week. As I say, they've been split around sometimes around town meeting. It's been a long time since they were both town meetings. You can look way back to that. The last thing that I should, probably more than to answer questions, there was some ambiguity as to what happens for committee bills. And I think that's been resolved over the last 2 or 3 sessions. Because the language is it has to be out of the last committee so that it's subsequently on notice the next day. Going back a ways, committee bills that came out on the Friday didn't meet that definition. But the last 2 or 3 sessions, committee bills, if they come out on the Friday, are okay under the terms of crossover. So for those of you who are familiar with it, I probably did it more confusing. For those of you who are not familiar with it, I probably only scratched the surface. But that's the general idea, is to make sure that there's an orderly adjournment and that one chamber doesn't try to sift over a whole bunch of bills at the end of a session. There can be exceptions, and generally those exceptions are worked out either through the joint rules or through leadership in the two chambers, because you can always suspend the rule to take up what you see fit in either one of your chambers.
Senator Claus?
So are we talking about actual dates? Are we talking about like March 17th as the date from the substance committees and then from the money
I
committees?
just wanted to know if
31st?
anybody had a question for John.
Oh, okay,
about
sorry.
what he said before we get to the dates. Okay, I thought that was very clear. And yeah.
Clear as mud.
Sorry, Brian.
No, you're fine. I was gonna leave myself.
So, Allison, was that a proposal of the?
I'm just curious, out of all that, do we understand that crossover for the substantive committees would be March 17th? They have to be out of committee by March 17th, and to the money committees for the next 1 or 2 weeks.
It's generally been 1 week. I'm sorry, that's up to you all to decide what you want to do. Historically, it's been 1 week, but that's not how it will be.
And so they'd have to be out of the money committees by the 24th. Seems pretty late. What?
Sounds pretty late.
It is late, though. We have a late year. Town meeting's late. Town meeting's the 7th. It's could possibly be in all possible
Emily,
worlds.
did you?
Perfectly fine with those dates.
Those, I think those work well for my office. Allison, any,
No, I think those are what we expect.
okay. Jill, any,
No, I think those dates work for us.
okay. So the proposal is to have the first date be the 17th with the following week for the money committees to do their work, and that would be the 24th. And as Secretary Bloomer said, there is a way to get an exemption from this date, but that's governed by leadership or joint rules. So with that said, I'd entertain a motion to do just that. From Senator Mazza. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Oh, sorry.
You said no.
So, and we were in the middle of a vote.
What's he talking?
No, he raised his
You
hand
drank-
improperly. Okay, so I believe that's unanimous for those days. John?
I just wanted to make one last point to make sure everybody's on the same page. I did not mention that there are 4 bills that are exempt from all this, and that's money bills. I wanted to make sure there was no question. So the budget's out, transportation, the institutions bill, the capital bill, and there's generally a tax bill that is a miscellaneous tax bill that is exempt. But I just didn't want there to be a question, especially for people that may be watching if those
Yeah.
bills were flying through.
Good caveat. Okay, any other business? Okay, well, hopefully this will be the first of many short productive meetings. So I guess we're adjourned.